do a recap of this past NFL's games. But before you do that, if you would, hit that subscribe button. Also, click the bell to get notified every time we do a new video. But before we get started, let me introduce you to my co-host, Anthony Watson.
What's going on, guys? I'm glad to be back talking some sports with you. We've been out for a few days because we had some snow in the area we live, so we're glad to be back talking some sports and some NFL playoff action with you guys.
Yeah, so we're going to dive right in. We're going to get started with a couple games that we had on Saturday. To start the slate, we had the Raiders at the Bengals. The Bengals taking this game 26-19. What are some of the highlights of this game, Ant?
Big key thing is for the city of Cincinnati and the state of Ohio, they got their first playoff win in the last 31 years, which is one of the longest droughts in NFL history. Joe Burrow led the way again. He passed for 244 yards with 2 touchdowns, no turnovers this game. Jamar Chase had another balling game. He had 9 catches for 116 yards. They didn't get T. Higgins involved much. He only had 1 catch for 10 yards, but they didn't need him. They had a big game from the tight end, CJ. He had 2 touchdowns, I believe.
Coming out of Auburn. He was actually a former quarterback.
Yeah,
crazy.
Crazy. He had a good game for this Bengals team. They got out to an early lead. They made Derek Carr pass the ball. Derek Carr passed the ball 54 times. He had an interception and a fumble loss, which was huge. You know, you can't turn the ball over 2 times in the playoffs. You got to stay on your P's and Q's there. Zay Jones for the Raiders, he had a good game. He had a touchdown, but they was playing from behind all game. They couldn't run the ball just because they was playing from behind.
Yeah, you think about some of the big plays Jamar Chase had in this game, and what a playmaker. Yeah. Go back to how Zach Taylor actually used him in this game too, a little bit different, kind of like the 49ers have been using Deebo Samuel. Yeah. They actually put him in the backfield, let him run the ball a few times. He had 9 grabs also. So it's just amazing how some of these guys that they're transforming the game kind of where they're taking them not only the slot guys or wideouts, but they're also putting them in the backfield. I know they were talking about it too, is that they said when he was at LSU, if he wanted to be a running back, he'd been the best running back on the team. You know, and you think about the running backs now in the NFL that was on that team with Allaire and then Williams, and they said that Chase would have been the best running back. So, which is tells you how talented this guy is.
Yeah, and another key thing about this Bengals team is how young they are and what they've been able to accomplish this year. They got a lot of key guys on their offense. A lot of their star weapons are 25 years or younger. Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, a couple of guys I spoke about. They're all 25 or younger, which is key. And last year in the division, they was worse than the AFC North, and then this year they won the AFC North. So that's just in 1 year they turned it around from worst to first. That's huge with this young team, young head coach. They got a lot to look forward to in the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah, Taylor's done a really good job with this young, really inexperienced team. And you go back, like you said 31 years.
31 years
since they won a playoff game. I mean, you go back to Boomer Esiason and those guys. Sam Weish was the head football coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's just crazy. It's been that long since they've won a playoff game. But congratulations to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals moving on to the divisional round. And let's talk about the nightcap. You know, which was very surprising. I thought this would be a close game. I thought this would be a fourth quarter game. But at the end, it was a blowout. The Bills really taking it to the Pats in this game, 47-17. Josh Allen with another really, really strong performance from him. What are some of the takeaways from this game?
Like you said, the Bills' offense looked unstoppable. It was the first time in NFL history that a team was perfect on offense. No punts, no field goal attempts, no turnovers. You play a ball game like that, you're not going to lose many of those. Like you said, Josh Allen had a good game, 5 passing touchdown, over 300 yards in the air. He also ran the ball 6 times for 66 yards, which was huge. You know, that's an X factor in his ability is to not only pass the ball deep, he can run the ball too. If the pocket starts to break down, he can get you the first down with his legs. Kind of reminds me of a young Cam Newton, 2010, 2011, and 12. He's got that big body, big arm. With those legs, he can run the ball too.
Something to hit on Josh Allen too is like a lot of people may know, may not know. You know, he played at Wyoming. Wyoming was the only Division I scholarship coming out of high school. And you think about it now, and I go back to that throw that he made Saturday night to Sanders for a touchdown. There's probably only a few quarterbacks in the NFL that can make that throw, and for him to, just the arm talent that this guy has, it's really remarkable. And for him to put it all together for this Bills team is going to be huge going down the stretch of the playoffs.
Yeah, that throw to Dawson Knox at first touchdown in the back of the end zone was an incredible throw as well. Dawson Knox had a good game. He had 2 touchdowns. He had almost 90 yards receiving on 5 catches. I mean, that Bills offense, it looked unstoppable on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I remember Knox coming out of Nashville High School. I think he played at Montgomery Bell Academy. And when he came out, I thought, man, this dude's a stud.
Yeah.
And really, a lot of people don't talk about him, but he's had a really good season for the Buffalo Bills. So he's emerging as one of the top tight ends in the NFL, no doubt about it.
If you keep up with fantasy, I believe he finished 9th overall in fantasy tight end points this year. Like you said, not many people talk about him. He's one of the underrated tight ends in the league, but next year people will know who he is for sure after his playoff performance. Another thing, if you follow our social media pages on Twitter and Instagram, we gave out 2 bets if you're in the gambling mode. Charles gave out the Bills -4. I had the Patriots Bills over 43. They both cashed there, which was huge. So go check out our other pages. A little bit on Mac Jones. He threw the ball 38 times. He had 2 passing touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions, which was huge. They fell early in this game, and they was playing from behind. And something the Patriots don't want to do. They don't want to be playing from behind. They like to run the ball, and they just couldn't do it against this Bills defense on Saturday night.
Yeah, you look at Mac Jones, had a pretty good season overall for his first year as a rookie. But coming into a playoff game, it's just a different environment. Yeah. It's just different. The stakes are higher, and they got behind, so they had to start relying on him to throw the football. And that's just not it's not successful in the NFL. So, and you see a lot of these games this past weekend, the same thing. They get behind, so they throw the playbook out, and they rely on throwing the football. And, unfortunately, you can't throw the football 40, 50, 60 times and be successful overall or to win in the NFL. So really surprising about this game that the Bills really put it to them. So the Bills are going into this next round pretty hot.
Yep.
So let's move on to Sunday's game. So you had the first game with the Eagles at the Bucs. The Bucs take this one 31-15. So what's some of the highlights in this one?
Tom Brady being Tom Brady once again in the playoffs. He led his team, led his offense to a first touchdown drive on the very first possession of the game. He got out early, had a lead. Defense played well for the Buccaneers. Tom Brady looked to target Mike Evans 10 times. Evans caught 9 of those balls for 117 yards and a touchdown. Another big key factor is the Buccaneers were still able to run the ball without Leonard Fournette. They thought he was going to play there. He was a late scratch, late inactive on the roster.
Yeah,
but Keyshawn Vaughn and Gio Bernard, they led the way with a rushing touchdown apiece there, which was huge, I think, for this Buccaneers offense.
Yeah, and then move over to the other side with Jalen Hurts. We just talked about Mac Jones, his first playoff appearance. Same thing for Jalen Hurts. I think he saw the nerves, and too, just that Bucs defense. They were all over him the whole game. He did miss some throws. Dallas Goedert, his tight end, his #1 target, had a few drops in there as well. So too, but when you get behind like the Eagles did, it just and the Eagles are a running football team. They've been that way all season, and for them to turn the keys over to Hurts, that wasn't plan for success at all.
You didn't want Hurts to come in there and throw the ball 43 times. He threw 2 picks, and Hurts, he was their leading rusher, like you said. They usually run the ball. Their running backs couldn't get going. Hurts led the way with 8 carries for 39 yards. I mean, they really couldn't do nothing. This game was over pretty early in this game here.
Yeah, it was 31-0 after the third quarter. So, and then I think the Bucs, took the gas off a little bit. So, and got some other guys in, rest of the guys for next week. So, yeah, this game was over after the third quarter. So, Bucs take care of business. So, we'll see what happens next week with the Bucs. Let's move on to the afternoon game where you had the 49ers going into Jerry's World, where the 49ers upset the Cowboys 23-17. Big game for Deebo Samuel and the 49ers. Good performance from the defense there to hold them to 17 points. What are some of the takeaways from this game?
Like you said, the underdog getting the victory in AT&T Stadium. The 49ers were the only team that was the underdog to win and cover the spread this week. All the favorites dominated except the Cowboys and could not find a way to win again. A stat I found was former quarterback for the Panthers, Jake Delhomme. He has more playoff victories in the past 25 years, which is 5, than the Cowboys had as a whole franchise, which is only 30. They just can't get it done in the playoffs. They have a stacked team. I think this is one of their best chances this year to advance in the playoffs. with the talent they have, with the coaches they have, and once again, they just couldn't get past the first round. Now, this was the closest game of the weekend. It was a 23-17 victory, like you said, for the 49ers. The 49ers just couldn't stop the running game. Elijah Mitchell ran the ball for 96 yards and a touchdown, and Deebo Samuel, wide out running back. He can do it all. He had a big game for the 49ers. He had over 100 total yards and a touchdown. I mean, they just could not stop that running game.
Yeah.
On the 49ers.
And two, if this is your first time watching Deebo Samuel play, he is a superstar in the NFL. I mean, he's emerged and coming out of University of South Carolina, he has just done a phenomenal job for the 49ers. And what they're doing on offense is all wrapped around what he can do, whether it's from the slot position, wide out position, or running back. So two really big performance from him. Let's move on to the other side of football. The Cowboys just really struggled. We'll get to the last play of the game here in just a few minutes, but Zeke just didn't show up again. You're paying him all this money, and we've said this, if you've listened to our show, we've said this all year. It's just, you just don't know which Cowboys team is going to show up from week to week.
Yep.
They're so inconsistent. They make mistakes, penalties, turnovers, and not being able to run the ball consistently has killed them all year. I really believe that they've got to make a decision. I think they need to turn the keys over to Pollard next season. And whether that's let Zeke go or you trade him or whatnot, you've got to do something there.
Yeah.
I just don't think Elliott's the answer.
Yeah, he's lost his step for sure. And we spoke on this before in one of our previous shows. If the Cowboys can't run the ball, they usually don't win the game. They rely heavy on that rushing attack to get going. They ran the ball, for 45 yards on 16 carries. Like you said, they just couldn't get it done. They didn't get Pollard involved a lot. He only ran the ball 4 times. I think that was key.
And the other person is C.D. Lamb. He had one grab the whole game.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be one of your dynamic players. Cooper had a pretty good game. I think he had 6 grabs, but you really didn't get C.D. Lamb involved. And you can see his body language on the sideline when he's not involved. So if I'm Mike McCarthy, I've got to get this guy involved some way, somehow. So, and they didn't, and I think that was a huge factor in this game as well.
Yeah, you got some big questions for Jerry Jones to answer here. It's rumored that Dan Quinn's gone. Defensive coordinator could be leaving for another head coaching job. You got Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator. He could be gone for a head coaching job. What do? You could be losing 2 of your coordinators.
Right.
You got to keep McCarthy, or are you going to go out and get somebody else? I mean, I think this is the most stacked team that Dallas has had in some previous years, and they couldn't get it done once again. I think it is time to move on from the head coach, find somebody else that can get the job done for him.
Yeah, I think as the rumors this morning from a couple of sources that Quinn's gone. He's got his select of a couple of teams. I think right now it looks like it's going to be the Denver Broncos. That could change, of course, but as of right now, that's looks like that's where he's going to be, is with the Denver Broncos. So, again, another disappointing season for the Dallas Cowboys. 49ers move on.
Yep.
Now they got to head to Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what this game looks like. It's at night game, too, as well.
Lambeau Field.
So we'll talk about that here in a few. But let's move on to the nightcap, which was the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Another blowout game here. At halftime, it was 21-7. And then coming out of halftime, Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns to really pull away from this game. So the Chiefs take this one 42-21. Looks like it's going to be Big Ben's last game in the NFL, and for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I just don't see him going to be a backup anywhere. I just don't see him doing that.
Yeah,
but
me either.
Let's talk about the Chiefs' big performance from Patrick Mahomes, 5 touchdowns. What are some of the things you liked about the Chiefs?
Yeah, he had 244 passing yards, I believe, at the half. He was on pace, almost threw for 500 yards, which was incredible in the playoffs. He ended up with 404 yards, 5 passing touchdowns. Travis Kelce, big tight end, he led the way with 5 catches for 108 yards with a touchdown grab. He also threw a touchdown pass on that little trick play they had from the 2-yard line. And they got their other wideout weapons involved too. Tyreek Hill, he scored. But Brian Pringle, I think he had 2 touchdowns in the game. And Jerick McKinnon, huge X factor in this game here. He ran the ball, he caught the ball, he was doing it all. He's found the end zone. That's a big X factor, I believe, for this Chiefs offense. He can run the ball and catch the ball at the backfield. He had a good game.
Yeah, even though I think Williams got the start. I think he had a couple carries and he fumbled. TJ Watt picks it up, runs it in, and I don't think Williams came back in the ball game.
Yeah, I don't think he touched the field again.
Yeah, after McKinnon. McKinnon's done a really good job. What a big pickup you look at now for the Chiefs. And not only is he a really good pass catcher, but I think he's proven that he can rush the football as well for them. So, which is a huge pickup for them. And I mean, down the stretch here, he's been huge for the Chiefs. So, and for Mahomes. So this is a big factor there. But let's hit on Big Ben for just a second here before we move on to our next game. But do you see Big Ben coming back, or do you think this is it for him?
I think this is it for him. After I seen his last game at Heinz Field, I think it was week 17. He had his last game at Heinz Field. You saw him running around. He ran around the whole field, shaking everybody's hands, clapping everybody's hands that was in the stands. I believe this was his last go around. I think it is time for him to hang it up. He just don't have that ability to throw the ball deep downfield no more. He can't escape the pocket no more. He can't run the ball. He's had a good, good career. He never had a under 500 season for Pittsburgh.
18 seasons, 2 Super Bowls, victories. I think about when he came out of Miami of Ohio. A lot of people didn't know who Ben Roethlisberger was at that time, but when he was in his prime, he reminds me a lot of what Josh Allen is doing now. The escapability, the run factor. Now at 38 years old, he just can't get away. I think if he could still escape and get away and run a little bit more than he's doing now, I think he would stay. But it's just a big difference between, take a look at Tom Brady and where he's at in his career and his body and what he does to stay in shape for the season, and the difference. I just don't think Big Ben's willing to do that now. So, but what a great career for Big Ben. He's done a phenomenal job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Mike Tomlin, now a big decision for him is who do you go get?
He's got to find his quarterback of the future. That's for sure.
I don't think it's on the roster now, so I think they've got to go out and draft a quarterback. And even, a lot of people are saying Kenny Pickett in the draft. Me personally, don't see that being the answer. I think you're going to have to go get somebody, whether you trade them or whatnot. But I think they definitely got to go pick up a quarterback. So
me and you both, I think the same there. They got to find their future quarterback. Like you said, I don't think it's on the team currently. They'll have to find somebody in free agency, trade for somebody, or like you said, I don't think Kenny Pickett will be the answer there. But who knows? You never know in the NFL. But I think Big Ben, his time is up.
But what a great year. Career, like I said, 18 seasons, 2 Super Bowls, definitely Hall of Fame. So congrats to Big Ben, and we'll see what he does next. See if he comes into the booth or whatnot. But moving on to Monday night's game, man, another disappointing game here with Arizona really laying the egg Monday night. Really surprising. I thought they'd come and fight, and it'd be a really good game against the Rams, but Rams take this one 34-11. But just a disappointing performance from the Arizona Cardinals, man. Turnovers, penalties, you name it, it happened. Monday night. So
I think the Cardinals offense, I think they went on their first 4 drives. I think they went 3-and-out each drive. I think they had to punt the ball on each of the first 4 drives. Kyler Murray couldn't pass the ball. He couldn't run the ball, and they fell behind early in this game, which led to them having to pass the ball a lot, which was not in the game plan. They wanted to get James Conner involved, get him going on the ground. And they was playing right into what the Rams defense wanted them to do, is drop back and pass the ball so the Rams front could get after the quarterback and Kyler Murray. You had Aaron Donald, Von Miller attacking the offensive line. Jalen Ramsey shutting the wideouts down. No DeAndre Hopkins yet in this game, which was you saw that you couldn't get no separation from these wideouts. Kyler Murray had a few bad decisions. He was about to get sacked, on that safety. Throws the ball up. Rams guy ends up catching it, runs it in 5 yards for a touchdown. And I think it was honestly over after that. It was early in the game. The Rams defense was shutting them down. Cardinals could not get anything going. It was just a very disappointing performance by Arizona.
And then to tell the tape for me is looking at the stats. When you look at the stats, Matthew Stafford only threw the ball 17 times. So that tells you right there the game was over early. So they turned to the run game with Sony Michel and Cam Akers. What about Cam Akers coming back from the Achilles, and
6 months.
6 months. It's just remarkable. And they rushed him more than I thought. He played more than I thought he would. Looking at my fantasy lineup, I didn't think he was going to play as much as he did. So they're really getting him prepared for the division round coming up. So, but really good performance from the defensive side of football. They pressured Murray all night. Murray didn't have any options. Really, it just was flat and disappointing. I mean, you could tell by Kingsbury's demeanor on the sideline that this game was over early,
Yep.
and Rams move on. So now what we're going to do is give you next week's games. So next week, here's the slate we've got for Saturday, January 22nd. You got the Bengals traveling to Nashville to go against the Tennessee Titans, where I think Derrick Henry is going to be playing in this game. This game's going to be at 4:30 on CBS. And then we go with the nightcap where the 49ers go to Green Bay at 8:15. This game's going to be on Fox. And then Sunday slate, you got the Rams at Bucks. This game's going to be at 3 o'clock on NBC. And then the final game is going to be the Bills at the Chiefs. This game's going to be at 6:30 on CBS. So there's your division round playoff games. What's the game you're looking forward to watching?
It's going to be the one game that most considered could have been the AFC Championship, depending on seeding and all, and that's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs. They played earlier in the season. It was a close game, good game, one of the best games of the NFL regular season. I think this is going to be another all-time playoff game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think you're going to see both offenses show out. It's going to be one of the best games, I believe, in the playoffs we've seen in some recent time.
Yeah, but the game I'm looking forward to is going to be the 49ers going to Green Bay. Green Bay's had a week off. We'll see if they're ready, see if they get off to a good start. I think that's going to be critical. We know the 49ers, what they want to do. They want to run the football. They want to get Deebo Samuel involved. And I know I think he's got a separated shoulder now. We'll see how that plays out as Trey Lance gets some action in this game. So a lot of factors there because I really think Garoppolo's got to play in this game for 49ers to have a chance to win. And also Bosa. Bosa went out yesterday with the injury. So we'll see if he's going to be healthy enough to come back and play in this football game.
Yep.
So a lot of good games down the stretch here. Hopefully better games than we had, no blowouts like we had this past weekend. So he's liking the Bills at Chiefs game. I'm going with the 49ers Green Bay game. So also look forward to our next show because we're going to break down each of these games before this weekend. So don't forget to tune in for that show. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, click the bell to get notified each time we bring out a new video. For Charles, that's Anthony. We'll see you on the next show.